in the country, much like myself, after a trip back home to Brisbane, but I know I'm ready and raring to go for what's going to be a big end to the year. What about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely, Britt. I mean, it's always good to get back to Brisbane for a short while, but I was actually really keen to get back to New Zealand because I actually don't mind the cooler weather. And I was reflecting on last year, my first winter in New Zealand, and I was actually quite proud of it. I said to someone, the winter here is not too bad. And they said, no, that was pretty mild. And I thought, bloody hell. But it's been a bit more brutal this year, but I've managed to survive. But it was always good to get back because there's lots going on. There
certainly is. We'll start with Harness 5000 because I guess that's the buzz statement at the moment, and we've already heard it several times in the first half of this Stallion seminar. Is it having the effect that you're hoping for, introducing it or reintroducing it at this time of year?
Yeah, it is, Brittany, and I really appreciate what the studs have done to respond to the Harness 5000 concept. So it's been really greatly appreciated, and we had a feeling that might be the early upside to it, but what we see is that, or what we're hoping to get out of the Harness 5000 is really to give people on a budget a cup day experience where we've got fantastic prize money, and we think that I guess the other upside that we're hoping we'll see flow out of this is it's probably fair to say the domestic demand to buy and racehorses in New Zealand at the moment is probably not as strong as we'd like it to be. So what we're hoping the Harness 5000 concept might drive is some improvement in the local marketplace in terms of people looking to buy horses and race them and set them for this particular series. And I know from some anecdotal feedback I've got already, there are a few people out there hunting around trying to find a Harness 5000 horse. So that's what we're hoping it will achieve, and in years to come it doesn't have to stay at Harness 5000. We've got options there, but what the breeders asked us a little while ago is they needed some certainty, so we've guaranteed that the Harness 5000 will be there for at least 5 years, and I'm not overly concerned beyond that because basically we've taken money off the top races and put it into the grassroots stakes because that's what the industry was telling us, is that the grassroots owners are the ones that have probably left the industry the most, and also the grassroots breeders needed a bit more support as well. So we're hoping that Harness 5000 gets people excited, it gets a little bit more reinvigoration of that grassroots, and hopefully at Ashburton on that day there's going to be some really excited owners.
Yeah, here's hoping, that's for sure and certain. So in regards to growth opportunities, there's several facets of the industry that there's opportunity for growth, but would it be fair to say that where the breeding segment is at the moment, there is the most opportunity because we know what can be done and it's been in decline? So how are you and your team working to hopefully get those numbers back up there again?
Yeah, look, Brett, you're absolutely right, and I think when I look at the breeding numbers, they've been in decline for probably 2 decades, and I know our team, we're going to be absolutely relentless. We just can't allow it to continue to decline, because the other sort of thing within New Zealand is because our racing stock is so sought after, we're breeding less and we're exporting still a strong number of horses to Australia. So really important that we get on top of that down current in the breeding. And I think there's some things underway this year. We've got new stallions coming to New Zealand. So I think the thing that we need to continue to focus on is growing the ownership. I think once you grow your ownership, the rest of the ecosystem grows with it. So we've got to continue to grow our ownership numbers. Fortunately, this year we've actually, whilst it mightn't sound a lot, our ownership numbers are up 4%. So we're starting to get some growth, and some of that's come off the back of the Next Gen initiative that we put in place. So really big focus at Harness Racing New Zealand in growing our ownership numbers, and we'll work really well with Nigel Armstrong and the Owners Association there to continue to drive increasing ownership numbers, but making sure that they get a great experience. Now, I know coming from Australia, the owner experience here in New Zealand is much better than Australia. When I was in Brisbane recently, over there, if you won a race, you won a race, and that's it. Here, you've got the winners' room, presentations, photos, sponsors. It's at another level. So, but I still think there's some opportunities for us to continue to grow that owner experience. And I know when we had the New Zealand Warriors Day, Nigel Armstrong and some of the ambassadors were taking new people down to the stables to give them an experience. And I mean, they're the sort of things that I think we need to continue to do. So I really appreciate all those volunteers that are trying to help create experiences for our owners once they get there. But I also know there are opportunities out there, and we've just seen at the recent Karaka weanling sale, 14 of those standardbred weanlings were purchased by thoroughbred people. Now, I don't know anywhere in the world where 14 weanlings, standardbred weanlings, have been purchased by thoroughbred people, which tells us there's some opportunities there. Now, yes, they're having a little competition, pinhooking competition, but you know they've got their foot in the door. So I think there's some exciting opportunities of growth in there as well. So Brittany, definitely grow ownership. We've got to appeal to a different audience. We've got to get more of the younger people involved with racing, and I think when we roll out the result of the next gen, you'll see what impact that's had. So at the start, we know 13% of the owners in New Zealand are under 40. Of that 13%, 3% are females under 40 that have got ownership in standardbreds. I think come October, you'll see that number change dramatically. So we do need to appeal to a different audience.
One more question before we get back to chatting about the Stallions. You've been in the role for just over 12 months now, and you've got a reinvigorated partnership now with the NZSBA, and you're really focusing in on this part of the business. And I know that you have lots of parts of harness racing that you have to, appease and speak to, but you've got a captive audience here tonight of breeders, hopefully a few new breeders. I'm sure many that have been involved in the industry for a long time and have a good hard interest in this industry and it growing. What do you have to say to them?
Yeah, look, I think, the breeders always do some great surveys every year, the Breeders Association, and they did it last year. And some of the pain points that the breeders told us was around, the cost of services, the cost of veterinary adjustment, and then the ageing base of our breeders. Now, what I'm really thankful of is not only has Harness Racing New Zealand listened to that, but so have the breeders. You've already heard tonight some of the initiatives that the studs have put in place to try and help with service fees, to try and help with vet costs and the adjustment costs. So great to see some innovation happening there, and we have listened that, there are pain points out there. And bear in mind, we're probably in a fairly ordinary economy at the moment as well, and hopefully things will continue to turn around and put a little bit more money back in everybody's pocket. But in addition to that, hopefully with the rollout of the Harness 5000, as I said, we're looking for a cup day experience for those people on a budget. So hopefully that will get people a little bit more inspired. And you've seen tonight, new stallions, studs are involved. I think there is definitely an improving vibe around the place, and the role for HRNZ is to make sure that we continue to look out there for the next pot of money to put into stakes. Now, it is there, but it's a little bit complicated at the moment because we've got another code. We're not quite sure where they're heading. So once that's all resolved, I know there's an opportunity for some more stakes. And probably the only other thing I'd like to say, Brittany, which may help, is that by the end of this year, the New Zealand government's going to allocate up to 15 online casino licences. Now, the two equine codes are putting together a joint venture where we may apply for an online casino licence, working in with Entain. We're talking, probably $20 to $40 million in revenue. Now, that licence lasts for 6 years, so a lot of that money would probably put back into infrastructure, which is certainly, badly needed. So I think, there's still one more initiative. I would love to have rolled it out tonight, but I want to reassure the breeders, Harness Racing New Zealand are all in. We're just not going to continue to tolerate, falling numbers. So despite throwing money and incentives and all sorts of things at it, it's continued to decline. So it's going to take a whole of industry effort. And what I hear tonight is breeders stepping up, helping out. The Breeders Association, I'm really excited with the work that they're doing and some of the initiatives that they're going to roll out. And so Harness Racing New Zealand, we've got one more initiative, and hopefully we can roll it out in the next couple of weeks. It's something that we've been working on for a while, and we're just waiting on some funding. And I think the breeders will be really appreciative, I'm certain, because I have told a couple of people around, if we had some money and we did this, what do you reckon? And it's built around probably the best practice around the world in terms of breeding schemes, and we'd like to replicate it. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'd like to make that announcement.
Okay, we'll keep on the edge of our seats, but appreciate the update, Brad, and thanks for joining us here tonight.
Thanks, Britt.
Brad Steele, our CEO here of Harness Racing New Zealand.